welcome to A Drummer's Guide 2. So this week I have a question from the lovely Charlotte Bibby. We've worked together a little bit. She is another drummer, super cool girl. She, however, has been struggling with feeling overwhelmed. Now, this is something that I can't tell you how much I struggle with feeling overwhelmed, so I thought this is a great time to answer this because I've sort of recently found out ways to kind of work within my own constraints, because I think that everyone has their own things that they need to deal with, and this is definitely one of mine that it's been a lifelong problem for me, Charlotte. I'm not gonna lie. So basically, Charlotte's asking me, okay, let's say that I want to be getting better at something, but the problem is I don't know what I should be focusing on. So, do I want faster hands? Do I want stronger feet? Do I want to be improving my flow? Whatever it is, I don't know how I should be dealing with this. She said that also she's been writing down lists, but that just makes her feel even more overwhelmed. And believe me, Charlotte, I feel the same way. I love lists, I love them, but there is a limit where it gets so long and then you're like, bah, I can't do anything. So anyway, I've managed to work out a way that works for me, and it sort of has worked for the last couple of years, I'd say. Definitely for the last year, and I'll tell you about why I know it's exactly a year in a moment. But, like I say, this is just my way. In my experience, the best way is just to try a bunch of different things to not feel overwhelmed and to find out what you should be focusing on. But the first thing that I would do is brain dump. So a friend of mine calls it brain dumping. I love this. A friend of mine called Brian, he says, just take everything that's in your head and just dump it onto a bit of paper or in a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet, however you like to work. Just dump it into a document and just go, right, okay, what are all the things that I want to work on? Okay, I want to work on the speed of my hands. I want to work on the strength of my feet. I want to work on my flow. I want to work on my feel. I want to work on my timing, on my reading. These things are endless, and it will always be endless because that is what being a musician is. It's sort of the blessing and the curse of it. The possibilities are endless, but as we say, can lead to overwhelm, so not ideal. But start off with just brain dumping all of this stuff onto a sheet. It can be a brainstorm, with the thing at the middle and then all the stuff on the outside. I quite like doing it that way because it's a bit more free flowing and I can kind of have spurs off into other things. Anyway, do it however works for you. Then what I'd like you to do is take a look at all those things and prioritize what out of all these things, and I'm sure that there's loads. I have loads. I have a long list of things that I need to improve on, that I want to improve on, things that I want to do. But what I do is I sit down and I look at that list and I go, right, in relation to my goals in life, and this is what all of this should be sort of based around, what out of all these things is going to move the needle most, which is a term that I've heard that I love. So what will move the needle the most towards where I want to be in my life? So Charlotte, I don't know what your ultimate goals are. I certainly know what mine are. I think defining those will really just put you steps ahead of where you're feeling or what you're feeling right now. So maybe that's a good start. Sort of work out what you want to be doing and then just go, okay, what is going to get the best result, get me closer to where I want to be, and just find that number. There will be one thing, it may be only ever so slightly, but that will just take you to where you want to be. Now, what you then need to do is just go, okay, let's say I'm going to use reading as an example because this was one of the most successful sort of goal / not being overwhelmed sort of situations that I've had recently. And this happened almost exactly a year ago today. So today is, June the 15th. I had this meeting that happened on June the 3rd, 2019, that basically meant that I had to get my reading skills up. So I knew that in 6 months time, something along those lines, 5 months time, I needed to be able to read music, which means that I read drum music. It meant sitting down with a bit of paper with some music and just be able to play it straight off the bat. I wasn't able to do that at that time of this meeting, and I was like, right, I need to work this out. So I knew in order to move the needle towards doing this gig well, Learning to read was my goal. Now, the tangible bit was I wanted to be able to literally look at a page, play it. Like, matter of seconds, scan it and play it almost sight read it. Sorry. In fact, yeah, that kind of was the goal, sight reading it. So that was my tangible goal. So I'd say if you can find some sort of tangible goal that you know that you've met that goal, absolutely do that. Also, if you have a high pressured kind of date in mind, that's quite a good way to totally like motivate you, because you don't want to look like an idiot. I know that that's usually my motivation. I don't want to look like an idiot and like I don't know what I'm doing. I know I often look like an idiot, but in like a she's so silly way, not in a she's completely incapable way. Not my vibe. Never want to feel like that. So yeah, create a tangible goal. And then what I'd also do is take that goal, take that thing that you want to learn, and do this thing that people call chunk it down. Chunking, it sounds awful. It sounds like someone being sick. I know. I have this thing about people being sick. I don't like it. It's a bit of a phobia of mine. Anyway, chunking is when you take one single goal, big goal, so reading, and again, do another brainstorm. Do another brainstorm and just work out how you can break down that goal into different things that make it more manageable. Like, break it down. So reading, all right, so let's talk about reading just general drum exercises. That's part of reading. Then there's reading actual music. Then there's things like notation and just how to play different rhythms and be comfortable with that. Playing along to music. You know, there's all these different parts of reading and what that means, what that looks like, just points that you need to hit. So I would chunk down all of those and go, right, I need to be able to do this, that, and the other, and the other. And then those points I would then chunk down again into these tiny, teeny, tiny goals. And I would also sort of try and find a way to assess how I was doing. So for me, every week, not every week, I think it was every month, once a month, so this was for The Voice Kids, right? And luckily, there's been a couple of series of The Voice Kids before I got there, which is amazing. So I was very lucky. But what I meant was I had a bunch of material, songs and charts that I could refer back to. I could test myself by playing the charts as I saw them straight away to the music. I had instant feedback. I knew if I got it right or wrong. I was going to go to that, but no, there was no that about it. It was right or it was wrong. And I would record myself and I would listen back to make sure that it didn't sound like I was reading. It sounded like I was just playing, like I would play anything. So that was my tangible assessment that I was able to do once a month. I didn't want to do it more than that because I didn't want to learn the songs by ear, because I how do I put this? I kind of latch onto songs, so once I've played it a few times, I can retain that information, which means I wasn't necessarily reading off the page, so I really had to restrict myself there. But then the next thing, the biggest part about chunking down, about achieving a goal, about not being overwhelmed about it, is to set aside some time every day. Now, this is what I did, so it changed as the time went on, as I got closer to my due date, if you like. But for the first couple of months, I spent 1 hour a day, Monday to Friday. That's all I did. It's not a huge amount when you think about it. And what I did was I looked at all these. So once I'd done this big brainstorm and chunked everything down, I put it into a list with checkboxes on sheets, on Google Sheets. It's free. I love free. Free is good. And I just went through it. So if I had my hour a day, I would look at my sheet. Oh, okay, today I'm going to do, like, the very, very beginning, I was doing drum exercises from certain drum books. I worked out that this wasn't my best use of time. That's the other thing. You've got to notice what's working and what's not, and what is pushing the needle and what's pushing you, but you're keeping up with it just about. Like, it's not too easy, but it's not so hard that it's like, this is impossible. There's such a balance to be had there. And again, that's just going to come from experience and just trying it. So I did that for maybe a couple of days and I was like, you know what, this isn't working. What I then started doing was, there was this app that I had where it tested your sight reading in terms of rhythm. So it wasn't about notation. It wasn't about where you were meant to play things on the drums. It was literally just, here is a bar of notes. What is the rhythm? Go to a click. that was great. That really, really helped me. I did that for a few days. And then I gradually sort of like got into getting hold of charts. So a few days was literally just sourcing charts and creating playlists. So it's not necessarily playing, but it all helps. And then it became, okay, play one chart, just one chart. And you can look at it for as long as you want. Look at it, loads. Okay, cool. I think I know what I'm doing. All right, play it. And just see how it went. Always recorded myself as well and listen back. And if you can do that, that will put you miles ahead of anyone else. If you can get that kind of, like I say, instant feedback where you literally are like, I am hearing what happened and it didn't sound good, or it did sound good, or whatever it is, or I'm getting better. And every day I recorded myself, which means I have got hundreds of files of me playing along to songs. Anyway, the point is that you need to just have that time allocated. So it's not about, oh, I've got an hour today and, but I don't have any time tomorrow, or I should do 4 hours today. No, take the decision out of the equation. Literally just go, I know that I have 1 hour every day. What am I doing today? Who knows? I'm going to go to my computer and look at my list. Oh, today it looks like I'm just finding a few charts. Cool, that sounds manageable. Great. And before you know it, make sure you tick stuff off as you do it as well, because that's really nice to feel like you accomplished something and you can see, even if you can't hear it necessarily straight away, your progress, you can see your progress. Like, I have done this towards my reading or whatever it is you're trying to do. But the point is, if you just take one step, just take one little bitty step, and the smaller you can get those chunks down, the less overwhelmed you're going to feel. Just do that one thing. Just do that one thing today. I'm just going to find some charts. Brilliant. Okay, done for the day. I'm going to go home and chill out. Wicked. You should. You need to relax as well. Like, don't overdo it. And then before you know it, in my case, I was reading. I was reading charts that were harder than what the gig required. I was not even having to really look at the chart. I just would play it and it came like reading a book. You know, when you just read it, like, this is what I liken reading to. It's like reading a book, and when you start, it's like you see every individual letter and it's like, look at all these letters on the page, this doesn't make any sense, what does this mean? And then you gradually sort of like start to get words and they start to make sense, and then you see everything as like paragraphs, and then you see something as a whole page. And it's like, although maybe you don't read a book like that, you don't look at a page going, I know what that page is about, but it doesn't overwhelm you in that way. And again, just coming back to overwhelm, like, overwhelm is a nightmare, but it's okay, you can completely do it. I think that's pretty much my advice on the whole not getting overwhelmed situation. It is so easy to get overwhelmed, especially at the moment. In the social media world, you're always looking left and right. I struggle with it too. I look left and right, I see what other people are doing, I'm going, oh, I should be doing that, or but then I have to just come back to what my ultimate goal is in life, and what brings me joy. And then just think about everything in context to that, because that's my life. Other people have other goals, and I'm sure they're working towards them and they're doing an amazing job, and that's brilliant. It's not my goals. And if you can find a way to just not let yourself be too overwhelmed by it. And as I say, I did this with reading, so the Voice Kids, learning to read. It was a big undertaking. I was overwhelmed. At the beginning of that, I was like, I'm not even sure I can do this. For a split second, I was like, well, I have to, so work it out, Em. So that's how that happened. And even so, recently I've created this online course. That was like, talk about uncharted territory. I had no idea of how, I knew sort of how to record a video, obviously, I've been doing these for years, but to actually educate people about a subject is such a different thing, especially if they're paying money for it. I was like, it's all good and well, this video right now, depending on how you're listening or watching this, so this is either on YouTube or on a podcast, there's an element of that I can sort of ramble around myself, if that makes sense, and that's fine. But in my head, I was like, if I'm educating people, I need to be straight to the point. I need to be concise, all these things. And I'd never done that before. And it probably sounds silly, but that's how I felt. And I was like, right, I need to work out to do that. I want to talk about overwhelm. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get all this information into a course. How do I do that? But it started with a brainstorm. And then, like I say, I just chunked it down. It was like, okay, so I want to do this course. Okay, that's the big thing. Oh my goodness, it's massive. It's like, all right, what should I start with? Okay, all I need to do is an outline of what the course is going to be about. So I just brain dumped all the outline of what I wanted it to be, and then I had a list, and I was like, oh, okay, well, those are all the subjects. Okay, well, what's next? Well, let me write a script for each one. Okay, and then each day it was just like, just write one script, it's fine. That's all it is, 1 hour a day, it's fine. And that gradually sort of led on to just record a video, just one today, it's fine. And then it was just edit one video, it's fine, it's all good. Then let's just do the extra material, it's fine. All the downloads, it's fine, it's no problem. You know, it was just this sort of like, it's only one little thing. But before I knew it, it's like, look at all this stuff, and now this course is online, and it's just the way you've got to do it. It's kind of, you've got to have that very laser focus, I suppose, on just the one small step you've got to do today. Just think of it like that. So I think if you can break down whatever that goal is into that one little step you've got to do today, I think you'll be good. And in terms of, like I say, choosing what you should be focusing your time on, have a think about what your ultimate goal is in this life, in your drumming, in your music, just anything that really, you know, drives you and gives you that passion, and put everything in context of that. So, you know, for me, okay, well, in fact, I'm not going to talk about me. I always talk about me. It's so boring. Think about, okay, you want to develop your double kick playing, but you want to be a jazz player. Those two things don't quite mix. They don't match for me. They don't mix and match. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say they don't match. That's what I'm actually trying to say. Okay, that doesn't quite work. You want to improve your flow, jazz. That works. That's a match. That's like, yeah, okay. You want to be the world's best heavy metal player. Oh, you better have your double kick playing down. It is important. So I think if you can just put everything in context of either what your goal is or what your job is, because that's the other thing. Like, some people want to make sure that they've got their electronics down. That is important in, you know, I say in the modern touring world, of which at the moment of the recording of this video, there is no touring. We're in June of 2020. It is, it's COVID craziness right now. So no touring at the moment. But it will come back. Something will come back. So, just work out what you're trying to achieve. Have a tangible goal. Make sure that you have a way of assessing yourself. Just break it down to the smallest step that you can possibly take, and then allocate time every day just to do something towards that. And it might take weeks, it might take months, it may even take years, who knows. But the point is, as long as you're making a little bit of progress every day, you'll be fine. And as long as you can see that. So Charlotte, I hope that this has helped you. I'm sorry it became a little bit rambly. You're kind of used to me, I think. I see you enough on my live streams and all that stuff. But yeah, I hope everyone that's here that is listening, watching, I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, wherever you're up to. I hope that you're keeping safe. If you have any questions that you'd like me to answer or tackle, then please feel free to leave something in the comments section, and I will make sure that I do a video to answer it as best I can. It may involve a lot of rambling. But anyway, lots of love to you and keep well. All right, see you later. Bye.